Apartment in Little Sicily, Frank is exercising so hard that it makes his hands bleed. He is a former Force Recon Marine who lost his family during a mass shooting. Since then, lived a life dedicated to revenge as the brutal vigilante known as the Punisher. Now that he's finally killed all the people behind his family's murders and spent some rough time in prison, Frank feels at a loss. The exercise takes a toll on his body and he collapses. Instead of taking it easy, he consumes too much medicine and alcohol, which immediately makes him puke. The noises in his head get too much to handle and he ends up punching a mirror. Then he furiously rips all the pictures and clues off his investigation wall. The next day, news reports talk about another murder in Little Sicily. Crime has been on the rise for a while in this neighborhood, so the most recent death is the last straw. Now chaos is taking over as riots take over the streets and even start fires. People claim this is happening because the Ganucci crime family is not in charge anymore. A homeless old veteran walks away from the riots and finds a quiet place to feed his dog. Suddenly he is punched by Mickey, who steals the man's hat and the dog while his gang cheers for his cruelty. Then Mickey throws the dog into the traffic and the poor thing is run over by a truck, leaving the man in tears. When Dre sees the gang walking down the street, he immediately takes his daughter Charlie in the opposite direction. At the apartment, Frank is having hallucinations. He keeps repeating his old Marine code while the visions of his former teammates appear around him, making him feel shame for quitting. Frank uses a knife to cut his dog tags off his neck. He also slashes the Marine tattoo while his teammates laugh at him. They start mocking him for being weak, causing Frank to have a breakdown. At that moment a new hallucination shows him his best friend Curtis, a former Navy corpsman who became the leader of a therapy group after losing part of his left leg in combat. Curtis gently tells Frank that he still can count on him, so Frank cries and admits he needs help. Deciding to honor Curtis' care for him, Frank puts away all his Punisher gear in a bag and locks it up. This bag is then put away in a locker, which he covers with a Marine flag. When Frank leaves his apartment, Isaiah and his mother are shocked to see him since they thought he never went out. Meanwhile at Dre's shop, Dennis is losing his mind while waiting for his coffee, so Dre sends him to a corner. On TV, the news talks about the Ganucci family slaughter and shows pictures of Frank as the culprit. The police are looking for him but nobody knows where he is. Charlie looks at the picture and notices that Frank is in line at the shop. When he looks at her, she just waves before looking away. Dennis keeps getting chaotic and starts pounding the counter, so Dre kicks him out. Frank tries to pay for his coffee but Dre lets him have it for free as an apology for the commotion. Frank drops the cash anyway before leaving. Outside, a man called Barracuda stares at him from his car before driving off. Then Frank walks through the streets while ignoring the chaos around him. Dennis keeps yelling about conspiracies, Mickey's gang keeps attacking people, and fights break out around every corner. A police car soon arrives, but they immediately leave when the criminals attack it. The car is set on fire while some men yell at Frank, telling him to leave. Gunshots and screams cause Frank to have flashbacks of his time in war zones, so he hears explosions and his teammates' voices in his head. As he walks, he notices a car slowing